Have you ever had one of those crushes that just completely takes over your life? You know the kind. It's so intense, so exciting, it feels like something straight out of a movie. Yeah, we've all been there. But sometimes that incredible, thrilling feeling can be, well, a little misleading. So in this explainer, we're going to break down the anatomy of these super intense attractions and figure out what's really going on under the surface.
And that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? When you're caught in the middle of that whirlwind, it is so hard to tell if what you're feeling is the start of a real connection or if you're just riding a temporary chemical high. This confusion is right at the heart of what we're calling a reckless crush. So let's put a name on it. What exactly is a reckless crush? Well, it's not really about a genuine bond. It's more of an intense infatuation that's fueled by two really powerful and kind of unstable things: inconsistency and fantasy. It feels incredibly real, for sure, but it's often built on a foundation of, well, not a whole lot. Okay, to really get this, we've got to pull apart these two competing feelings. On one side, you've got that pure chemical rush of adrenaline, and on the other, you have the slow, steady burn of a real connection. Let's actually put them side by side so you can see the difference.
Just look at this breakdown. It's night and day, right? An adrenaline rush is all about fantasy. It thrives on unpredictable behavior, which, surprise, surprise, is why it usually leaves you feeling anxious. Everything feels so high stakes, like every single text message is a life or death situation. But a real connection, it's the total opposite. It's based in reality, it's built on patience, and at the end of the day, it makes you feel secure and calm.
So how can you tell which path you're actually on? Well, the good news is there are some really clear signs. We're about to walk through 6 major red flags that'll help you figure out if what you're feeling is one of these reckless crushes.
First up, and this is the big one, inconsistency. This is basically the bedrock of a reckless crush, because it's that unpredictability, that feeling of never knowing what's coming next, that creates the addictive feeling of a chase.
And here's what that looks like in the real world. One minute, they're showering you with attention, texting you nonstop, and the next, poof, radio silence. Plans are always kind of vague, maybe last minute. You just never know which version of them you're going to get. This hot and cold dynamic is exactly what keeps your brain hooked, just waiting for that next high. All right, our second major red flag is when you realize you're not actually falling for a person, you're falling for an idea of a person. In other words, you've gotten way more attached to the fantasy you've built in your head than the real person standing in front of you. This usually happens when you don't really know them all that well, right? So your mind just fills in all the blanks with these perfect qualities you want them to have. You're not looking at who they are right now. You're obsessed with their potential. Ask yourself this: is the daydream you have about them more satisfying than your actual conversations? If the answer is yes, that's a huge tell. And this leads us straight to sign number 3, the emotional toll. A healthy connection should feel like a safe harbor, But a reckless crush almost always feels like a storm. It consistently creates anxiety, not a sense of security.
Does any of this sound a little too familiar? Spending hours trying to decode a single emoji? Feeling that pit in your stomach when they haven't texted you back? That constant feeling of being on edge is a direct result of the inconsistency we were just talking about. A real connection brings peace. A reckless crush brings panic. It's that simple. Now for sign number 4, an addiction to drama. It is so easy to mistake this dynamic for passion, but what you're really experiencing is high-stakes drama. It's a non-stop emotional roller coaster, and that ride can be incredibly addictive. The lows feel awful, of course, but the highs, when they finally come back around, they feel incredible. That rush you get when they finally text you back after disappearing, that's not passion, that's relief. The making up part becomes the reward. This whole cycle kind of mimics the drama we love in movies, but in real life, it's just an exhausting way to connect with someone.
And this brings us to sign number 5, which is all about a lack of substance. I mean, when you peel back all those layers of drama and flirting, what's actually left? A lot of the time, you find the connection is a mile wide, but only an inch deep. Seriously, think about it. Do you guys talk about your fears, your dreams for the future, your core beliefs? Or do you just trade witty banter and compliments? Building real depth takes time and a willingness to be vulnerable, 2 things that a reckless crush almost never involves.
And our final red flag, number 6, is all about the timing. With a reckless crush, the pacing is almost always off. It's either going way too fast or it's completely stuck in neutral and going nowhere. So yeah, it's usually one of two extremes. Either you're planning your wedding after 2 dates because that fantasy is just so powerful, or you're stuck in this endless loop of casual texting that never ever moves forward into a real defined relationship. Both are signs that you're not building on a stable, realistic timeline.
All right, we've gone through the signs, and hey, maybe some of them hit a little too close to home. So what now? Look, the goal here isn't to feel bad. It's to move forward with a new sense of clarity. Let's look at the steps to get there.
The path forward really breaks down into 4 key steps. First, just acknowledge the pattern. No judgment, just see it for what it is. Second, question the fantasy. You have to actively ask yourself, who is this person really, beyond the idea I've created? Third, start prioritizing consistency, start expecting it from other people, and practice being consistent yourself. And finally, consciously choose to seek security over drama. This is about retraining your brain to find comfort in the calm, not in the chaos.
And this is what it all comes down to. Instead of focusing so much on them, turn the question inward. A reckless crush isn't just some random thing that happens to you. It's a mirror. It often highlights something you feel is missing in your own life, maybe a need for excitement or validation or attention. So the ultimate question isn't what's wrong with them, but instead, what is this attraction trying to teach me about myself? And that is a question worth exploring.